We're comparing two videos side by side, and the worst video got more views, and it's all because of a single number. And I can show you that number right now. So to be completely clear, two videos, same channel, same family, 10 days apart. The video that lost had a longer average view duration, had a 100% like rate, and outside of all other YouTube metrics, except for one, it was a better video. And yet it got 264 views and actually lost me a subscriber, as you guys will see from this screenshot. Let me put these two dashboards on the screen because once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. All right, real quick, let's talk about the better video, right? Our better video was a video on Santa Claus Village where myself, my wife, and my 4 kids all went to Santa Claus Village in Lapland, Finland. And that one had some real effort put into it, right? We did a 27-minute long video. It was about going to the Arctic Circle. It had photos and videos. I think there's like over 60 of those spread out throughout the entire video. And what's really interesting is that I think the watch time was over 4 minutes, right? More than usual. The average likes was 100% compared to like our 95% average or something like that. Right? In YouTube's own words, it said it overperformed on certain things. We even ran a split test that clearly had a winner. I think it was like 65% versus 35% on the thumbnail alone. So we did everything I believe you should do, right? And yet it got 3.9, maybe 4,000 impressions. I'm not sure. A 4.5% click-through rating, which is not bad. Compared to what a lot of other people get, that's actually not a bad click-through rating for our thumbnail. And 264 views. What's maybe even funnier is we actually, by putting out that video, even lost a subscriber, right? I had never actually seen that before on top one of our videos. And we actually lost a subscriber, even though there was more watch time, more like rating, and this type of thing. All right, now let's go to the worst video, right? This video was kind of an opinion-based one on Europe versus USA travel. It was a shorter video. It was 11 minutes long, and this was actually because there was a part 1 and a part 2. This was the part 2 video. It literally had myself and my wife sitting like out in our garden, basically in lawn chairs, just kind of chatting about some travels that we had done that summer. Now, as for the engagement numbers, I believe they were barely over 3 minutes of watch time versus the 4 minutes, right, in the other video. The like rating, I think, was down to like 88% or something like that versus our normal like 95, 96%. So again, two pretty big metrics that YouTube would be like, hey, people don't really care for this video. And yet here's the crazy thing, right? This video got over 30,000 impressions with a almost 12% click-through rating. And I believe it was like over 95% of YouTube recommending this video, right? The YouTube browsing type of thing. And so such an enormous difference from the better video that we had just mentioned in terms of those numbers alone. And again, before anyone says this in the comments, yes, because it was 3 minutes of an 11-minute video, I guess the percentage watch time is better, but the average view duration and the like ratio and more comment, like those types of things all happened on the other video, right? The better video, which is why we're kind of bringing this up, where the massive difference, at least in our opinion, was the almost 12% impression click-through rate versus the 4.5%. Let's look at some pure numbers right now. All right, I'm going to read some numbers off real quick. The worst video had 2.6 times the click rate, 8.4 times the impressions, 20 times the views, and 16 times the watch time, right? The hours watched, 16 times, okay? The big thing we have to remember is the impression click-through rating, that CTR. It doesn't win you clicks, it wins you chances. As we've talked about in previous videos, YouTube will give you a few thousand impressions to see how you do. If you win that test, you get more chances. If you lose that test, that video is probably done, no matter how good or the quality or the watch time of that video. Again, unless you blow past other metrics on this, right? I'm talking within reason. And once again, let's remember that 4.5% click-through rating on that Santa Claus Village video. That number right there ended up deciding everything for us, right? If that number was a little higher with the watch time, who knows how far that video might have gone. Both videos were completed with the same tool, Contentfold, used the same thumbnails, which again are considerably better than my previous videos. If you look at some previous videos, I had videos getting like 50 views because my impression click-through rate was like 0.9%, not even 1%, right? So this 4.5% still at least got some clicks and a better click-through rating. My 12% one is still the same cinematic thumbnail that I'm kind of showing you guys right now. It's all built inside the same system, right? So in my opinion, a couple of things that went a little differently, right? One, the winning one did do more of a USA versus Europe thing. Maybe it was a bit more of a fight. And so because of that, maybe more people were clicking on top of the thumbnail to see where this was going, which obviously could also see where you would think it was actually more of the Americans fighting with me. It was actually surprisingly more of the Europeans fighting with me, even though I was saying Europe had beat travel. But that could be that 88% like rate versus the 100% on the Santa Claus Village. Maybe that was more of a family vlog, warm and fuzzy type of feel to it. Maybe there wasn't as much contention, if that makes sense, right? So I just want to show you that both thumbnails are made the same way. Both thumbnails are crushing old thumbnails that I'll actually put on top of the screen, some of these really bad ones that I had done in the past. One big change that I do want to highlight that I'm personally going to be trying going forward with my future videos is obviously everyone wants the 12% click-through rating, right? Again, I'm still very happy with the 4.5% click-through rating, but realistically, if you would ask anyone, they obviously want the one with 2.5 times more clicks, right? And so just something I had noticed, because this is the first time I had done a thumbnail like this, the USA versus Europe travel one tended to be a bit more, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but a bit more like a versus. So like if you actually take a look at this thumbnail when it's zoomed in right now on top of the screen, you'll see that it has kind of like a dividing line. It's got like the Statue of Liberty, an American flag, a big like Chevy Tahoe or whatever, because I mentioned that inside one of the videos. And then on the other side, you kind of see like versus Europe, and you'll kind of see it has like a beautiful Innsbruck, Austria, like the European city vibe, the walkability. To me, that is one thing that I did notice is different. It was almost like the thumbnail was trying to force someone to choose a side, if that makes sense. Now, again, not every video can be like that. Like we weren't being combative at all inside this video, but that really caught my attention on top of this thumbnail that seems to have really overperformed because again, a 4.5% click-through rating is still pretty darn good. Like most people say anything between 4 to 6% is a pretty good thumbnail, right, for the click-through rating. And then if you do look at the Santa Claus Village one, it is a bit more of a relaxed vibe, right? It does say, the one thing that almost ruined the trip, but it's not quite like this Street Fighter video game, like at the start thumbnail, like versus type of thing, right? And I'm not saying that is why this one has won so much. It's just something that kind of caught my attention that is a lot different from some of my other thumbnails that recently have been in the 5 to 6% range. The Santa Claus Village one looks closer to that one, where this Europe versus USA one does look in a different category almost. So I'm going to try to see if I can shoot a video like that again in the future so I can compare and see how it did. So with all that said, kind of the last thing we want to touch on is just to kind of remember that the better video with a 4.5% click-through rating, even though it had more watch time and a higher like rate, got 264 views, right? And the worst video that for sure had less watch time and less likes and more of a dislike ratio, however you want to word it, but behind a 12% click-through rating got 5,000 views, over 5,000 views, right? 20 times the views of the better video. And this is just something that we've been trying to preach at Contentfold with our software and things like that, is the click-through rating decides if it's going to go at all, right? Retention decides how far it goes. Impression click-through rating from your thumbnail and title decides if it goes at all. The most important thing we keep trying to stress here with our software, with our A/B testing, with our thumbnails, with our title options, things like that, is you have to win the click first, before the shorts, before the pins, before the blog posts, before the TikToks and the Instagram and everything else that Contentfold can make. You have to win that click first. So to me, the next experiment video, maybe in a video or two from here, is pretty clear. I'm going to try my best to get a higher impression click-through rating, right? Something more maybe in the 8 to 10% range compared to the normal 5 to 6 that I've had in recent videos, with a video that I actually put time and effort and try to make it even more quality than the one that just launched. And let's see how that one does. See you guys in the next video.